All right. So, welcome to the Intuition Summit. We are so glad you're here with us. And I have my dear friend and soul sister, Emmy, co hosting with me. And we're super excited to introduce Marilyn to you. Now, this woman, I put my little pat on my own back because I followed my intuition and she's already incredible. I just know it. And I know you're going to feel her vibe too. It's just so clear and light. And when we're following our intuition, that is the feeling, that light, clear, it just feels right and really, really good. So, Marilyn, can you just share a little bit about who you are and how you got on this path and really the message of embodying your higher self? I think that's key to following your intuition.
Yeah. Thanks, Abby. Thanks, Emmy. And I want to just say to everyone that I just met Emmy and Abby, and you're in great hands with them. So it's so great when you can get together with people that are teaching this material about intuition and higher self, and we're all doing it to get it out there as much as possible. I'm a psychic medium, teacher, coach, and I teach people around the world how to communicate with their guides. And mainly what I've started shifting to is really turning on their instrument, their intuition. We all have gifts. And I'm teaching people that their body, their being is their instrument. They don't need to go to someone else, and how to turn on their instrument and how to communicate with their higher self. Their higher self is their main guide, and their higher self is living the life that they already desire. So why not go directly to the source and get the answers you need for all aspects of your life? So that is where a big part of my work is these days. My signature program is Next Level Living. And I'm teaching people just how to really bring their life to the next level.
Wow. You speak to my soul. It's so beautiful. I love it. So how did you get connected to like listening to your own intuition? Did you just feel it one day, or because we all have it, but what was that connected point?
And it's a long story, so I'm going to edit it. Get really fast. I've had it since I was a kid, but I didn't know it because I grew up in a traumatic household. So I was told I was making it up, which a lot of us relate to these stories. And I was already having visions and seeing things and precognitive dreams. And it wasn't until I got into my late 20s, early 30s that I was really working on myself in a spiritual journey, like deep therapy, that I started hearing things and started seeing things and things started coming true. And I just recognized that I had to learn how to use it because it was making me crazy. And I was seeing a lot of dead people too. So I was a medium and I wasn't ready for that. Right. And I was getting locked in rooms. There's a whole story to it that I think a lot of us have with these stories. And I went to see a medium, and he was like, you have to learn how to use your gifts. It'll change your life completely. And I started learning how to use my gifts. And this is way before like the internet. And this is like, you had to, find a book about it and really learn. And it shifted my life completely. And I came home to my soul. And that's why it is so important for me for everyone to develop their gifts. And I don't care if you had it as a kid or if you're 85 years old and you're waking up to it now, everybody is gifted.
Yeah, I love that. Waking up to your soul. It's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you add anything?
Well, I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit about what is the higher self, because some people might think, well, how is that different than who I am right now?
Yeah, I love that. And I love that this concept of our higher self is becoming more prominent in everyday matters. And this word is not woo. I'm not very woo woo. I was telling Abby and Emmy beforehand, and very practical. So our higher self is someone who's already living the life that we desire. And I usually do things by story. So when I first met my higher self, I was in an intense amount of therapy. I was in my late 20s. I was working for NBC Olympics. I had a very high power job at a very young age, and I was miserable. And NBC was wonderful to me. TV was great, but I was absolutely miserable, crying every single day. And my therapist got me in touch with the part of me that was already living the life that I wanted to live. And when I met her, she had like hippie skirts on and jewelry, and she was this like picture of peace, everything I wasn't. And I was like, oh my goodness, I want to be her, but I don't know how to be her. And I had no idea that she is actually a representation of who I am today, even though I wouldn't say that I'm like the picture of peace and stuff like that, but I definitely have more balance than I had back then. And I started to communicate with her. So she would like started out with taking me to clothing stores or taking me to my closet and telling me what not to wear anymore, or what to wear, what was no longer aligned with my soul. I would take it to the grocery store and I'd be like, this, should I be eating this? Should I be eating that? And they'd be like, no, this is not aligned with your soul. And through my work with her, I just started aligning with my soul and I started finding my truth. And I feel our higher self is the deepest representation of our truth. And that higher self, whether it's a she, he, whatever it is helping us to live a life that is aligned with our soul. That's the best way to explain it. It's so much more than that. And I know we have to we'll get it all in the 40 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, what's the bridge that helps people connect to their higher self?
The bridge is the desire of what you want in life. So we all have these dreams in our heart that are meant to be lived. We're not supposed to be suffering, right? We're supposed to be pursuing them. They're not meant to look like what we think. We're supposed to actually practice surrender because there's usually something greater that's available to us. So I feel the bridge to it is that desire of wanting something better, getting in touch with that desire, envisioning it. And usually why I start with the higher self is because it's an easier guide to see than a guide you've never met. If you believe in guides, I don't really care what people believe. It's whatever works for them and makes them live the most powerful life they can live. Right. But if we all close our eyes right now and we think where we want to be a year from now, and some people struggle with that because they're afraid to dream. But if you think about where you want to be a year from now, think of an event that you would like to be at, something where you're acknowledged for your greatness. And maybe it's just receiving love, or maybe you're at a book signing, whatever it is. And you can see yourself in that event, that experience a year from now. And you've now just met your higher self. You've now just met a guide. She already knows what you're meant to do, what choices you need to make in the moment. Can you see it, you two?
Yeah, for sure. You're so good at this. I love this. It's so fun.
I can. At the same time, I know how people can get into the doubting fear mind. So how do you support people to trust or have faith in their higher self versus the part of us that can be in fear or have wishful thinking?
So I do that in a number of ways. One way is if you have the desire to really do it, I ask people to trust for 30 days. So for 30 days, you just have to trust, because a lot of times people think when they're talking to their guides, they're like, my guide told me to go here and it wasn't the right thing. I'm not hearing them. And I'm like, yeah, but what did you learn? Because your guides aren't going to, they're not giving us the perfect life. They're helping us along the journey. They're supporting us. Our higher self is supporting us on our journey so that when we do something that wasn't great, we get to learn something even better from it. Because it's all character building moments. I mean, we talked to Abby where Abby's accelerating and you're accelerating, Emmy. So you're building up character traits that are going to prepare you for those moments of great intensity or celebration or acknowledgement. People think they're ready for that, but they're not always ready.
What did I tell you? She's so amazing.
Thank you.
So many good things. Yeah.
So that's one of the first things. And then the other thing I'd love to share this story is when I was in touch with my guides. And like I said, I don't care what people believe. It could be intuition. It could be archangels, could be a higher self, which is where I think a lot of us can relate. I was getting advice and I was like, how do I know if I'm making this up? And they said to me, we're giving you great advice. Who cares? Yeah. And I was like, they're right. So when we get our higher self, and if we're going to say to our higher self, should we take this class, or what should we know about this client? How can I better serve this client? How are these kids going to do in developing intuition? What should I know about going to speak to this principal? Whatever it is, they're going to give you really good advice and you're going to feel it. And if it feels like fear, lean into it a bit, because we're going to have fear no matter what in expansion, but we need to lean into it to say, where is this fear coming from? Is it from a past experience, or is this really the unknown? Like, what is happening? It's so much about, as you know, being conscious of your thoughts, your mindset in every moment. And that's what our higher self helps us to do, helps us to recognize where we're showing up as our higher self and where we aren't, and to see the difference. I know I just threw a bunch in there, and I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does make sense. And it seems that the higher self is really our authentic, like you said, the true soul aspect of us that maybe we are in a certain way all growing into.
Yeah. You know what I love about this, Emmy, is that we all get to define it that speaks to us. And the way that you're defining it is the way you're relating to it? And I'd say yes. I also don't believe that time is linear. So I believe that what we desire is already happening in this moment. And we get to tap into that, and we get to bring that experience closer to us today. And then we get to embody our higher self and make choices from that place. So you guys just went a year out. Could you imagine bringing that energy to you self today and making some decisions that you have to make right now? Like think about it. Think about that energy from a year from now. What is she wearing? And if it's a he, that's fine. So I'll say, what are they wearing? What's on their feet? What do they feel like? What are 3 character traits that they have right in the moment? And then you can actually use breath to like breathe that, bring that energy closer. As you're inhaling, you're just inviting that energy into your physical body now. And just trust that it's there. And then think about a major choice you have to make. And just feel into it with this energy. Is it a good thing for you? Is it going to help accelerate your growth? Is it going to expand your soul? And then just answer it. So there's a lot of simple techniques and tools. I do a lot with breath with it too. So the breath to me is like the umbilical cord to your higher self. And when you breathe with them, what happens is it makes your inner guidance get very focused on your higher self so that all outside noise goes away. And if you breathe with them, like you send them breath and they send you breath and you're inhaling, and then you can see like this umbilical cord of energy that you're creating through breath between the two of you. And then you can color that cord. Some people have a hard time seeing. So I would say lean into sound or feel it, actually physically feel it. Or what would it sound like? What would it feel like? What would it feel emotionally like? And then you just focused on that, everything goes away and that relationship gets built and it gets stronger and stronger the more you work with it.
Are you getting emotional, Abby? Because I was just getting emotional a little bit.
I'm not surprised you are because you have such a tender heart. But I might be able to put into words what you're feeling, and then you'll probably do a good job at that too. But if it's okay, I just wanted to share. For me, it's actually beyond words. It's just the heart. Like when you were talking, Marilyn, it's like it's a feeling. And finally, I got out of my own head and I'm like, oh, that's right. That's the vibration. It's so simple because it's the heart that then connects to the gut. That's the way I teach intuition. And that's, I believe, what you just did, because it's that feeling tone. And what do I call that? Oh, your essence, the essence, like, the energy. That is so much more powerful. And now I am going to get emotional because it's about your cousin, who's my partner. It's just like you get out of the head and the beautiful love that exists. And so I think that's why intuition is so powerful. And wow, there you go, Em. I'm feeling you. Why Emmy and I even came together was like the power of love, right? And that we want this just to ripple to everybody, to trust that I know I can speak for Emmy, like we've both experienced very deep things in our lives that have been challenging before, but we rose the occasion with love in our hearts just to see differently. We talked about it being a whole new world on another interview. So yeah, Em, hopefully I didn't steal your thunder, but I just wanted to share.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, what I'm noticing with what you just did, Marilyn, and thank you for guiding all of us in that, is that it helps remove the blocks that can limit us. And what I've noticed with intuition myself, and also when I teach intuition, is that there seems to be a healing journey connected to it, because we can get stuck in fear, doubt that can be related to past traumas and so forth. And so by allowing ourselves to connect, like Abby said, to the heart and to that higher self, which is what we're talking about today, that we can recognize that, wait, like Abby was saying, I don't have to stay down in all this murkiness. I can rise above this, and I can allow myself to have a vision for my life that really is in alignment with my soul, versus feeling stuck or, limited in our abilities.
And also superficial, I realized for me, like I was kind of stuck on surface stuff instead of the deeper stuff. So when we jump into our higher self and the essence, it's like, that's the realness, it's like how we feel. a year from now and bringing that forward in this moment. It's because it feels good. We want that good feeling, like that is the essence.
And you know what I love that the two of you are talking about, and Abby, you really went into the stomach and stuff like that, which I believe that's where intuition lives too. And then both of you, what I teach is we are our own instrument.
Yeah.
And so what I love that the two of you did is you're just doing things your own way that works for you. That's super powerful, because so many times people compare themselves to how other people get things or how they understand them, that they negate their own experience. They're like, oh, I'm not seeing like her. Or I'm not getting the intuition hits like her. I'm not feeling like her. That's the mind chatter that gets in the way. I teach psychic development, and it's like the biggest thing people, when they can't develop themselves psychically, the thing that's in their way is the mind chatter. And what I really want people to learn is you are the instrument. I'm not the instrument. You're the instrument. You're the instrument, Abby. You're the instrument, Emmy. So I love all of that. And there's something else you guys said too, is it takes you out of the fear and the anxiety. And one of the things, and we all know this, we're all, teachers in this material, but my guides taught me a long time ago, stop making decisions from where you came from, make choices from where you're going. And so that was one of the things, if we're in the higher self and we're making choices to where we're going, not from where we came from, it shifts up and allows so much more solution to come in.
So for those listening who are thinking, well, I don't want to wait a year, which I know is not what you're saying, Marilyn, but they might be, in their heads thinking, I don't want to wait a year to manifest what I want to manifest. How can you begin? Or are there any simple exercises you can help? And I know you just did this now, but are there any other ones that you can help somebody shift into their higher self now and to begin trusting that is their intuition speaking to them?
I love that question, because I don't believe that it has to be that long. So I would say, see that vision tomorrow. Don't put it a year out. See it tomorrow, invite that energy in now and see what happens, because we do get into a thing where it's got to be a year. It's got to be 6 months. It's got to be 5 years. It doesn't have to be. Some opportunity can come down the pike tomorrow that just changes your life completely, but you want to be available to it. You want to be open to it. The biggest thing this does is it takes the blinders off, because, and lets the universe know what you want. The universe cannot bring you what you desire if you don't know what you want, if you're not living in that energy and feeling it. And I feel like a lot of the times the universe, because I teach synchronicity, the universe is bringing us what we want. We just don't notice because we're so trapped in our old patterns and habits and beliefs.
Yeah. And it's interesting because fear can block us at the same time. Sometimes fear actually is our higher self warning us about something. And I know that can be a bit of a discernment of recognizing when which is active as well.
Yeah. And that's intuition too, right? When our intuition, like a lot of people, I'd love to know what you guys think of this, but people like, I went against my intuition. I'm like, unfortunately, that's how you learn. Like you go against it and then you're like, why did I do that?
Well, I agree. And I think that just briefly, when I teach intuition, I ask people to think about, when was a time that you knew your intuition was speaking to you and you listened to it and it was accurate? It could be as simple as, I know that my friend Joanne is going to call me, and then they call you, or the phone rings and you say, oh, that's Tom, and it's Tom. Or maybe you made a big decision to maybe move or take a job or go to a university or something like that, and it panned out really well. Well, how do you know that was your intuition, your higher self talking? Or when was there a time that you thought you were listening to your intuition and it didn't quite turn out the way you wanted? And I agree with you. I've had those moments in my life, and they were moments of some of the greatest learning in my life, but they weren't ultimately where I wanted to settle and hang out for many years, but they were stepping stones along the way.
Yeah.
Oh, well, is there any other thing you want to share about connecting with your higher self? Maybe even being able to see for others, help others really tune in. Anything about that?
There's so many tricks that I play with. Like one of the things that I would have people do first, you could take different goals. And I would say, if anybody's struggling with seeing their higher self, pick one of the goals. Maybe it's health, maybe it's business, maybe it's love, maybe it's home. Pick one particular area and focus in on that. What do you want that to be? So if it's health, say, and you really want to be in a certain amount of shape and you want to feel really good about your body, start there. Start constructing it from a place of, analyzing it, taking it apart, feeling it, and just seeing what it is. Then what I would have people do is listen to music, whatever makes them probably not lyric music, probably like classical music or yoga music, spa music. Get some colored pencils out and draw your higher self. Do not try to make a person. Just put color to paper as you're connecting with this energy of your higher self. And you will be amazed at what will come through when you're getting out of the thinking mind and you're getting into the other types of ways of being. So any color, sound is going to get you in touch with your higher self. So there's many, many different ways to do it. You can also go outside and ask to walk with your higher self, even if you don't know what that is like. And then play a game with yourself and say, just look around and say, pick a bird that you see, pick an insect that you see, pick a tree that you see. And then you can learn what those things mean to you. And what is your guidance? What is your higher self trying to tell you through those symbols? Mm-hmm. So there's so many different ways. I teach the symbolic language of your soul, which is, I do this with the two of you right now. Think of a question that you have. Okay, I'm going to give you both a couple of symbols, but you're both going to answer this. What does butterfly mean to you, Abby?
Oh my God. I swear to God, I was thinking butterfly. I swear to you, I was thinking.
I believe it. I believe it completely.
So my partner calls me butterfly, and the question was our next step forward, and to actually move into his place, and it was a yes. So anyways, that's just bizarre. I can't believe that you said butterfly, and that's what I was thinking.
So what is I love that. What does it mean to you though? What does a butterfly mean to you?
Transformation. Who I am. Yeah, light, beautiful.
Great. And you didn't need to Google that. You got an answer right away. Right?
I remember when I moved from Oregon to San Diego, I would go on these runs, and I think there was just multiple, I was a cricket, and that meant prosperity. And then I literally found $20 on the ground. It was it was happening in form, I was like, oh, that means something, and there it was.
And that's the synchronicity. So Emmy, how about you? I'd like to give you a lantern. What do lanterns mean to you?
Well, I think of the Hermit card and tarot, but before I get more into that, I just want to offer that I almost wore my butterfly necklace today for the interview, and at the last minute I changed to this necklace. So I just want to offer that we were connected there. But interesting, I didn't get the butterfly. Abby did. So there you go.
Well, you both were going to get butterfly, but Abby had such an experience with it that I decided to shift yours into something else so then we can combine it.
Okay, cool.
So what is lantern?
Lantern, well, light in the dark, being able to see the path in front of you, which is so interesting because I wrote in my book, and I often refer to my intuition as the light on the path of, it's just when there was times in my life where I didn't know the right thing to do, and what I was conditioned in society and culture to do wasn't working for me. And I just had a light. I felt like my intuition was like a lantern or a flashlight. So I could just see a couple feet in front of me, kind of like when you're camping at night and you have to make your way to the bathroom, or you're out, in the dark. So yeah, illuminating the dark.
So did that help you understand the answer to your question, or a little bit of a deeper understanding? Because a lot of times it doesn't fully answer the question, but it'll give you some understanding of it.
It does. With what I was thinking about, it seems that it's telling me to just stay on the path and to know that it's leading to where it needs to go, for my highest good and greatest joy.
Okay, so you got the star card now.
You're a star.
So you want to know what I think about what a star is, or?
You got the star card, so what do you think that's telling you?
She's a superstar.
Oh, well, I suppose that's one interpretation. And I do have a bit of a public life. We all do. So maybe that could be one interpretation. I certainly don't look at myself that way. I do feel that also with the Hermit card and the lantern, being able to shine so others can shine.
Great.
Wow.
So there's just different things like that, because if we just use everyday things that happen to us and that we see, and we don't worry about like getting it wrong, and we don't need to run to Google and like, I want to give Abby a sunflower now. It's like, so you just give these symbols and then you ask yourself, like, what do I feel about this symbol right now? What's my memory of this? If I have a memory of it, we usually have some type of association with it. And then if the symbol wanted to sing us a song, what song would it sing to us right now? And then you read those lyrics. And before you know it, you have an entire reading for yourself. So
you're saying just allow the image, because you're giving us images, but symbols, but are you saying that people listening could just allow, which is what, guided imagery, in quotes does, is allow an image just come into their mind?
It could, or you could go outside and you could just pick 3 images wherever you are taken. Or you can also set your timer for 10, 15 seconds and scan around you.
Yeah.
And then once the timer goes off, wherever you are, like if I'm on my microphone or my water bottle, everything has information for us. Everything is information.
Yeah, I hear you.
So then if they take that thing and they just ask, okay, what's my memory of it? Where did I get it? What do I feel about it? If my water bottle, and it sounds crazy, but you have to get out of your thinking brain in order to get deeper into the intuition and the information and the guidance. And so if you allow your imagination to run, because that's where they are, that's where they're playing, that's where your higher self is playing with your soul, then you're going to get information you can't believe. And I've been doing this with people for years. I've been doing this for like 18 years, and people are like blown away by the information they get.
Abby, can you tell us about the sunflower? Because I feel like there's something.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I need to express. So it's fascinating. So I studied with Sonia Choquette. Do you know her at all, Marilyn?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did 3 years of training with her, and that's how she taught us, is basically like it could be a symbol or actual real vision that you see. So a symbol could just represent something. Lots of times I will see the actual truth of things, but it's just, she said the same thing, that basically symbols can represent something. So I just thought that was really cool, because I haven't heard that since talking to you, and I've been practicing that for years. The sunflower is really special to me too, actually, because I grew up with a garden and we had these big sunflowers. And so to me, it's like growing slowly, it starts from a little seed and then it gets this beautiful, huge, vibrant sunflower that's gorgeous and very strong. Like the stalk is very strong.
And that was in your home?
It was behind my house. So we had like a couple houses and there was a garden in between. And that's, where we would.
And how did that make you feel?
Safe, loved, rooted.
And that was your question.
Like, I feel with Emmy in her garden. Yeah.
And that was your question about your partner and everything and moving.
Yeah. Well, it's just a transition. Like we decided we were going to move in, and then we both got kind of freaked out. So we're both like, is this supposed to happen? So it was just, I keep asking. And every time I ask, I get a yes. So it's just interesting, but there's been a lot of fear on either side that has come up. So
yeah. And that's why I like working with your higher self, because when that fear comes up, if you feel like you guys feel like you have someone by your side, and normally what I teach people too is have your higher self stand in the same place each day, so that you always know your higher self is like to the right of you or in front of you or behind you. It could be in your heart. It doesn't matter. But if you always know where they are, then you're always going to turn your attention to where they are. And then you can start having that conversation. And then when that fear shows up, you just have a conversation with your higher self. Like, what do you think about this fear? Even if you don't hear an answer or see an answer, just asking the question is bringing guidance into you. Because it's the intention of the question that's bringing the solution. And it's also opening you up for the solution to drop in. So people always worry about the answers. And I'm like, don't worry about the answers, because it's constantly evolving. I teach a thing called the ... technique, because you can't end anything with a period. There's always more. So whenever I'm teaching somebody and I'm like, okay, what color did you see? And they're like, blue. And then they put a period. I'm like, go deeper. What does that blue mean? Why is blue coming up for you? What does blue feel like? Like Abby's beautiful picture behind her of the blue. And I keep seeing like this image inside of it.
What do you see inside of that? Because that has a fascinating story. What do you see inside of it?
I see actually kind of like an energy of like a godlike energy, but it's like this very powerful figure, but it also looks like it's looking down at a child or a person or something. And it's like this beautiful guidance that's happening. And I also feel a lot of healing energy in your hands, Abby. I don't know if you know you have it, but I feel like there's a lot of energy coming from this guidance down to this consciousness that what you're creating.
You're probably seeing my child that I've seen for a long time, which I believe her cousin is the father of that. And so this child's been following me for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And last night, actually, even yesterday afternoon, Emmy and I felt each other, but she was right. I wasn't reaching out to anybody. I just went within and I felt my hands again. And I used to like heal people from cancer and blind and walk like tons of power. But I was like, why have I shut that down?
Yeah.
I think I'm like afraid of that again. And Dan's been something like, Abby, go out and do it again. And I'm like, it's just weird because I'm so powerful, but I can't even believe this. Hello, transparency. But I just haven't. I've been business coaching so much, but it literally, like, I remember my ex-boyfriend, his dad had a lump like this big, and I put my hand there and it completely shrunk. Like, it's insane. Like, since I was a kid, I was touch people and they would heal, but it's just weird. I don't know what all this is, but I know has to do with that kid too.
You're releasing the blocks to your higher self, Abby.
Well, he is the higher self, that little baby. I'm teaching the intuitive child, right, to all these kids and eventually in the school system, but that little baby is the consciousness of it. And I think that's why I need to have him to have it go bigger, because I'm going to embody my higher self. That's exactly what you're seeing. I'm going to embody my higher self with him. So it's starting. We've done the videos. I started working with kids. I worked in a school last year, but it's like, wow, Emmy, this is why everything happened. So yeah, we had a timing thing that happened with one of the schools that I work with, and I couldn't understand why, but that had to happen for her cousin and I to get as close as we are, because I'm 39, so I don't have a whole lot of time, and it's trying to come in. So it's just the unity that's there's love, which is the door, right, that opens everything. We talked about that with the speaker before you today. And yeah, staying with it. So yeah, so I wasn't expecting all of that at all, but that that picture is pretty powerful. I mean, I literally found it in a dumpster at my old house. And I was like, that is the most beautiful picture. Somebody's just getting rid of it because they're moving out. And everybody feels that energy. I mean, it's just powerful what lives in there.
I love everything you said, and I agree with that. And I feel like that source energy is so strong. And then when you talked about your healing ability, and I feel like this is a really important thing to touch on, is so many people shut down their powerful gifts because one, I can't speak for you, but one, it scares them because it's so powerful. It's so strong. It's going to, there's going to be recognition with it and being comfortable with that recognition. And you're not doing it from that place. You're doing it from the place of that beautiful gift. But I also found with my mediumship, speaking to deceased people, there was so much competition out there in some of these circles that I just got at. I was like, you talk to the dead people. I'm going to do my own thing. And I shut down something that was so accelerated and strong. And I started reopening it. But I don't do readings really anymore. It's like very, very specific if I do them. So for you, Abby, like that's amazing. And that gift is absolutely incredible. And I feel like the source energy, whatever you believe, it's like this was given to you. Even if you're going out and teaching kids intuition and then you're going to teach them their own healing power, you have no idea how those things are going to be combined. If you don't mind me saying this to you,
I don't mind just saying anything. I mean, I totally trust. I'm just remembering like when I found it, and maybe if anybody can relate, if they're starting to wake up to their gifts, but I was in high school and I broke out in hives actually, because my body,
your body couldn't handle it.
Yeah. And then all this power just shot through. And actually in high school, one of these ladies, she did energy work. Like my mom knew her and connected. And then I went to Alana Rubinville's thing, and all the teachers were just lining up. Like it was just here go. Cause I'm an athlete. I played in college, and I'm like, I could go do sports, but it's like, nope, do the spiritual path, because that will heal the world. Like that's the fulfillment. So anyways, I don't know why I'm telling all this other than it's just weird, because I've been like primarily a business coach for 20 years and helped people make a lot of money, but it's like something starting to shift. Like as Emmy knows with the intuitive child, I'm like, what is happening? Like, what am I supposed to be doing now? I've been doing it for 20 years in this capacity, but now it's starting to return. And I am supposed to tell you this. So probably like 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we got COVID briefly. I healed it in like 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
And exactly what he was like, blown away. And I was given exactly what to do energetically, how to do it, what to eat. And then I think within 3 days, I was scared because he's very thin. And I thought, but it was like within 3 days we had him going, and he was just like, how do you know? And I'm like, I just know, like I can see a person and I can just know exactly what they need to eat, what's going on in their body. Anyway, so it is weird that I haven't been doing much of it for a while.
You know what I'd have you do is, or I'd suggest, because I can't have you do anything, is to go and stare at that picture and go inside it.
I will.
Because it's part of scrying. It's like seeing it would be great.
Yeah, it's just pure love.
Yeah.
And then I look over, it's like reach millions of people. It's that frequency that's like pure love that will reach people. It's a frequency that's so pure, you know?
And it's needed.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you are bringing up love, and I definitely see the face in the painting for sure. So I'm glad that you made that recommendation, Marilyn. I was just going to offer, when you were talking about how you suggested people notice, where is your higher self, right? Because it is our self, right? It's our soul, but it's a matter of how embodied is it? And for me, one of the ways that I connect with my higher self is just connecting with my heart and love, because then I'm able to step back from the fear, the doubt, the attachment, the worry, to just be able to really see from that place, and not a love of, I'm just going to open myself up and be vulnerable, but from a place of authenticity and knowing what is for my highest good and greatest joy, and also how I can interact with others in the most loving way, because I think that that's how we can all really come together, is by being loving with ourselves and others.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I so want to launch into readings, and I'm doing my best not to, and I don't so I don't do that any longer. It's for special, occasions and people. But I love what you said, Emmy, and I feel like you just keep going. I just feel like this energy behind you on the left side, and it's got your book, and it's like you are there's a formula, or there's like a curriculum, or there's something being birthed out of it. And I hope I don't have attachment to anything that I give people, because it's up to them to decide if it's right for them or not. But there's something bigger and greater that wants to come out of that. And I want to say to the two of you, and I include myself in this, because I want people to hear this. I feel like maybe I can't speak for you two, but for me personally, stepping out of the shadows even more has been really important in my work and teaching. And I feel like there's something that we have to do. And I'll tell you something else I feel like I've really released last year was a lot of ego around it. Because I think before I was on a lot of telesummits, I was, positioned with a lot of different people. And then I was like, I don't really care. You be who you want to be. I'm going to be who I want to be, and we'll be great together, or we won't. But there's something like, I just see you with more of like, it's almost like your own little Bible or something that's going out there that's teaching people something, like a different way of being and thinking. So it's very powerful, the two of you are together. I hope you don't mind me saying that.
Oh, no, it's beautiful. And Marilyn, thank you for that. It's very validating and very encouraging for sure. And you are very powerful. And I know we just have a few minutes left. So what else do you want to share about how people can embody their higher self? And also, I just want to offer that, Marilyn, I believe you're being a beautiful example of what a higher self is, because you are just rock solid as far as like embodying on the earth plane of being able to just see clearly. But I know I know we have natural gifts, but you probably spent a while for that to really refine over the years, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah. What happened for me is I was studying dream work and in a lot of therapy, and didn't know like all the gifts I had. And once they opened up, they accelerated at an incredible speed. Yeah. So I started channeling right away, and I started seeing right away and hearing right away and feeling. And I believe, like, I know my guides are teaching guides that I was put on this earth to teach others how to do it for themselves. Because one of the things is why I don't do a lot of readings anymore, and I got out of it and I went into more teaching people in my programs, was because I didn't like how people would come to me and they would hand me their power. And if you hand your power to somebody who's not trustworthy or doesn't have integrity, it can do a lot of damage. And I was like, you need to read for yourself. You need to learn how to do this for yourself. So as much as I've been we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always expanding. My guides are always teaching me. I feel like it is a part of me. Like I have a podcast called Who Can It Be Now? And I share a lot of my stories in that. And I am very honest and transparent, like you guys, with what goes on in my life. And I think it's really important. And I just want to get the message out there that anybody can do this, and you do it your way, not my way. But I want to give you techniques and tools on how to do it. So that's the most important thing.
How can people learn from you? I want them to get your website, or I know we have a free gift that we're going to put on the bottom of this email, but how can people get in touch with you to learn more? It's just such great work.
Thank you. So you can go to MarilynAlauria.com and my name will be there. So I don't have to spell it, because I know that's like, it's a mouthful, MarilynAlauria.com. And my signature course right now is Next Level Living, which is really teaching people like all of us at a whole other level, how to engage your gifts and live in a life that is next level. And then my podcast is a great place to start to get to know me, is Who Can It Be Now? And yeah, those are the places. And I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. So it's me, it's not some social media. I do have some people do reels and stuff, but it's just me talking to people. I don't know about you guys, because you've been in business for a while, but I started becoming more in touch. Like there was a while there, it wasn't me, it was other people doing things for me. And now I'm like, no, I want to get to know everyone. I want to be in it. And I've shifted my business quite a bit because of that.
Yeah, it's important. I remember when I tried to delegate marketing, it didn't work because our people need to feel less,
Our energy.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And you also have a gift that you are offering.
Yes. And this is a great class. It's the first class from Next Level Living that I did. Program's been around a year and 8 months, and it's your higher self. So you're going to have this great class, and I teach in very practical ways. So you're not going to be in woo-woo. You're going to get it. Go to MarilynAlauria.com/higher self, and you will get that free class and ebook with it.
Oh, wonderful. Marilyn, is there anything else you want to share today? And I know you have so much more to offer people, and I'm so glad to hear that you even have a podcast. That's a great way to continue for everybody to learn more in very accessible ways. Anything else you want to share today about embodying, or just anything about the higher self that can help people, that you feel, because I know you're very intuitive, that you feel people listening right now really need to hear?
Just be your higher self, and just that's all I have, really, because I feel like we all know what it is we're meant to do, and we allow the noise in, and your higher self is going to show you the way to being all that you're meant to be. When I said I came home to my soul, I woke up to my soul. That's what happened to me. And I feel like it's going to happen for so many other people, and they may already be living it, but there's other levels. So I give everybody the invitation to get to know their higher self. That's the last thing I would have to say.
Mm-hmm. And for those who are listening, who are thinking, well, I really want to follow my higher self, but I don't know if I'll be able to make money at it. Or I want to follow my higher self, but that might mean that I have to make XYZ changes. What do you typically say to folks when you hear those kinds of things?
I don't usually hear those anymore, but if somebody said that to me, that would be self-doubt and mind chatter. And one of the things we deal with is mindset in my programs. Mindset is super important. You're going to make more money, and you're going to have even deeper relationships. And a lot of people come to me, and their relationships get into question because they start opening into their spirituality. Many times they're able to get that relationship to a deeper place because they're revealing more of themselves.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Feedback. Thank you so much for being with us today, Marilyn. It's been a great joy, and I know you've moved all of us quite deeply. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for inviting me.